Welcome to the story world. Title: The Stubborn Boy. Arjun, a 10-year-old whirlwind of stubbornness, was known throughout his village for his unwavering refusal to budge. If he decided the sun rose in the west, arguing with him was like wrestling a greased badger. His mother sighed more than she spoke. His father chuckled with weary amusement, and his little sister, Priya, simply avoided him. One sunny afternoon, Arjun decided he wanted to climb Mount Crag, a formidable peak looming over their village. His parents, knowing his stubborn streak, tried to dissuade him. "Arjun, it's too dangerous. You're too young," his mother pleaded. His father added, "Let's go fishing instead. We can catch some delicious trout." But Arjun, his chin jutting out like a stubborn goat, declared, "I'm climbing Mount Crag, and no one can stop me." He set off, a small figure against the vast mountainside. He ignored the warnings of the older villagers, the rustling whispers of the wind, and even the grumpy scolding of a passing crow. He climbed with the single-minded determination of a determined ant. The climb was harder than he anticipated. The path was steep, rocky, and treacherous. He slipped and scraped his knees. His hands grew raw, and his breath came in ragged gasps. But still, he pressed on, fueled by his stubborn pride. He reached a particularly difficult section, a narrow ledge clinging to the cliff face. Below, the valley stretched out, a dizzying drop. He hesitated for the first time. Fear, cold and sharp, pricked at him. He wanted to turn back, but the thought of admitting defeat, of admitting he was wrong, was unbearable. He took a deep breath and started to climb, inching his way along the narrow ledge. Suddenly, a loose rock tumbled from under his foot. He lost his balance, his heart leaping into his throat. He flailed, grabbing desperately at the rock face, his fingers scraping against the rough stone. He managed to regain his footing, but his confidence was shattered. He sat there, trembling, the wind whipping around him. He was exhausted, scared, and utterly alone. For the first time, the stubbornness that had driven him up the mountain seemed foolish and dangerous. He realized he hadn't been brave. He had been reckless. He began to cry, the tears mixing with the dust on his cheeks. He missed his family, the warmth of his home, the comforting smell of his mother's cooking. He missed Priya's annoying but endearing chatter. He missed feeling safe. He slowly, carefully began his descent. It was even harder than the climb up, his body aching, his spirit weary. But this time, he was careful, he was mindful, he was listening to the whispers of the mountain, heeding the warnings of his own body. When he finally reached the bottom, he was greeted by his parents and Priya. His mother rushed to him, her eyes filled with relief. His father put a comforting hand on his shoulder. Priya surprisingly hugged him tightly. Arjun, exhausted but humbled, confessed, "I was wrong. I shouldn't have been so stubborn. I was scared, and I almost got hurt." His parents smiled, relieved and proud. His father said, "It's okay, son. We all make mistakes. The important thing is that you learned your lesson." That night, curled up in his warm bed, Arjun thought about his adventure. He realized that stubbornness wasn't strength. It was a kind of blindness. True strength, he understood, was knowing when to listen, when to ask for help, and when to admit you're wrong. He fell asleep, a little wiser, a little less stubborn, and a lot more grateful for his family. And the next day, he went to pluck mangoes with his father, and happily plucked the plump, tasty mangoes. He even let Priya choose the biggest one. After all, he had learned a valuable lesson, and he was ready to share the bounty of his newfound knowledge. For more videos, please subscribe our channel